reach out and whatever. So that's just 6:59. Where everybody at?
Hey, it's just my brother and my nephew. They're probably not going to be here because my nephew finally got that house,
Awesome.
so they had to make that move. So
Awesome.
hold on, let me make sure this is this other things. Okay, that's correct. All right. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, they won't be here. My brother had to help him. He just got home not, a few hours ago. He just woke up a few hours ago. So I don't expect him to be there. So right now it's just gonna be me and you. And since we're live on YouTube, let's get it started, baby. Let's get it started. What's up, everybody? This is Aaron Ribbons live on YouTube, friends and family show. Yo, I am happy to be here, and my friend Rob from the 100. Yeah, we're just gonna sit here and talk about our best friends for a while. If anybody else comes, it'll be beautiful. If not, that's all good. You know what I'm saying? This show is just for the people who come to it. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna start with mine. Back in middle school, when I first went back to when I first wound up in Milton Hershey, I had met this guy. You know what I'm saying? And I met a lot of kids. You know what I mean? And one of the kids, me and him, kind of became really good friends. You know what I'm saying? Look, I was a young black boy coming from the hood, straight out of what is it, West Philly at the time, and being trained for gang life and all that kind of stuff. And unbeknownst to my mom, but my mom was smart enough to know that she had to get me out of there. So she got me out of there into that school. And in the school, I met people who had nothing to do with my life. I thought everybody kind of lived my life, you know what I mean? But nah, when I went to that school, it was different, very different. You know what I mean? It was for a child, it was like a tragic awakening. You know what I mean? I called my mom, letting her know I hate it here. I hate it here. She was like, "Well, you're going to stay there, and if you try to leave, I'll beat your butt and send you back," and all that kind of stuff. And I can remember crying, right? And I think it was one of the times where we were all in the basement. We were playing around, and then think one of us just started crying. You know what I'm saying? He just started crying because he missed his mom, right? And then it became a whole fucking cry session, man. We was all sitting in there crying about our moms, man. All of us, we was just crying. We wanted our mom, and it was sad. It was a really sad time. But I think that was when we realized that we were it. This is the family now. You know what I mean? This is who you're going to be bunking with for months to come until a holiday comes through or your parent might come through. My mom just wasn't able to get there that often, so we rarely saw her in between holidays. So, and the kids, there's a few other kids like us, but not as bad as, but they were like us, you know what I'm saying? And this guy, Bob Baker, man, he was a cool little white kid. Well, if you can't say white, boy, this is a white boy, yo, blonde hair, blue eyes, pale, burning skin. Yo, he was my best friend. Like, I looked at him, I looked for him most times, and it was a great time most times when he was around. You know, me and him, we were kind of like partners in middle school. You know, whenever someone went down, I looked at him and he looked at me, or one of us, decided how we was going to handle it. You know, me and my brother Andre, there he is, and it was a different time, man. It was a very black and white time. You know what I mean? It was the 70s. It was when racism was for real. You know what I mean? And you didn't have to guess. People weren't afraid to announce their racism. You know what I mean? But me and this little white boy, it was like we just understood. You know what I mean? We just understood each other. Then my brother coming in the room making noise. Let me mute him for a little bit in case he makes some more noise. What's up, Dre? Yeah, and I remember I remember me and him we were just doing everything. Like if we wanted to play basketball, we was playing basketball, me and him. If we wanted to play baseball, we'd just be out there. He'd hit a ball and I would catch it, and then I would do the same to him. You know what I'm saying? We were like tight for a little while, until my mental started to kind of come in. It came in early. It was always there, but I think by the time I hit seventh, eighth grade, that's when the mental issues started showing up. But I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know I was that sad. I just thought, this is part of being here at school, you know what I mean? But we had a great time, man. I used to really love the fact that he was my friend. There was another guy. He wasn't my best friend, but he could have been. In a lot of ways he was, man. We used to listen to the Beatles all the time. David Cooper, man. He introduced me to the Beatles. We used to just sit all day listening to the Beatles songs, man. He had played all these different Beatles songs for all these different albums. He was in love with the Beatles, and he introduced me into music that I never really had permission to be a part of. Let me put it that way, because back then, most places, Black people listened to Black music and white people listened to white music. That was it. You know what I'm saying? You wasn't supposed to cross the line, and it went against your character to be seen doing it. So you had to do things on your own. You know what I mean? So at least in my household, you know what I mean? So it was a cool meeting him and having those experiences with him, man. People, they change your life. They change a lot of things that you believe and the things that you want in your life. You know what I mean? And he changed my thoughts about what a person is versus the color stuff that we were all taught. You know what I mean? Versus this is what white people do, and this is what Black people do, and this is, you know what I'm saying? It let me know that we're all pretty much the same in a lot of ways. We suffer the same, we believe a lot in the same things. I didn't know, until like this last year, a couple of years ago, I didn't realize how conservative Black people were back in the 70s. We were very conservative people, you know what I mean? We actually, valued not committing crimes. We valued like being, having a job. We valued at that time not having babies out of wedlock. We valued all those things. Before it changed. It changed with my generation. I don't know. I think when the government started allowing children to have babies and paying for it, I think that was like the major change. The whole society, all of America started to change. But I think they thought they were doing something for us I don't know. But all I know is, the change was not a positive change. You know what I mean? Yeah. But there's a lot of great things that happen. There's a lot of bad things that happen. I'm just grateful to be alive and to have had friends outside of my race and in my race that I love dearly. You know what I mean? So best friends is very important because there are life things that happen that you only had with your best friend and no one else. You know what I mean? So I'm going to move on. I'm going to let some other people talk about their experiences with their best friends. Rob is here. My boy Rob, I just saw Luba. It looked like she left. But Rob is here, and I'm going to let Rob speak. Let me see if I can have to. Okay, you're good.
I'm good. All right, check it out. My situation is a little bit different. I really had no one particular person that I would put in for best friend because on my block, there was several of us all the same age. And for the most part, we all went to the same school. We walked together to school. We came home, together, played basketball, video games. So I had a clutch group of friends that were all my homies. I mean, when I was a church going boy. When my church developed a basketball team, my buddies would go with me to church, um, go like everywhere. See, the thing about it, we were the younger generation because mostly all of us had older siblings. I know I mentioned to you guys how my brothers also went to Milton Hershey, stuff like that. So it's like the families had already knew each other really well. So, one could hang out inside somebody else's house all night because that parent had known that entire family for like 20, 30 years. There was no strangers. There was all love for one another. Um, Sadly, I think me and my group of 4 or 5 friends, we are still tight. And what I mean by that is like, all right, if I were to come down sick tonight, um, they would be there for me to make sure I'm good, my family's good, or whatever like that. Um, Sadly, we don't talk like that. Like we have the whole group text thing where we'll talk about sports or politics, whatever like that. But that's once every couple weeks. Um, I think that divide, I tell you I'm 47. I think that divide started probably 20 plus years ago, where, once we all, you know, got into the point where after high school, when people did different things, um, some people went this way, some people went that way. And I think that divide started way back then. What I'm saying? So it's like, yeah, we're still cool. We'll still get together for the Eagles game once in a while, stuff like that. But I can go months without hearing from these guys. I've gone over a year plus without seeing some of them. And I feel like if we were still as tight as we used to be back in the day, I mean, there'd be no, I know COVID has a lot to do with it too, but still, um, I think no doubt that we'd probably be seeing each other or hearing from each other. And, let's face it, we're all a little human. And I think a little bit of animosity and envy and stuff kicks in. Like, I think friends can stay tighter with each other if everybody's on the same level, both financially, fiscally, spiritually, whatever. But I think when everyone isn't on that same playing field anymore, it's really tight. I'm sorry, it's really hard to be as tight with that buddy if, well, this person is struggling or this person has blown up so much to the point where he feel like I got nothing. I can't relate to them dudes anymore because, I'm on some different type of level. So, I don't know how much that has to do with it, but I just know that is cool with me and my buddies are right now. And I know, if something were to happen to them or a family member, whatever like that, I would definitely be there. But for right now, um, I know for a fact that we are nowhere near as tight as we could be, nowhere near as tight as we once were. And moving forward, if this trend continues, I don't see it being any different. Like we're not going to all of a sudden be in our 50s in a couple of years to all of a sudden, yo, let's get together and hang out or go to a Sixer game or to an Eagle game or just hang out drinking. Like that's not happening now. So the fact that it's not happening now, and I've already seen the slope become more and more slippery as we've gotten older. I mean, there could be a point where we just don't talk much anymore at all outside the hey man, what's going on text, or hey, how's your kid doing, or hey, how like when your friends don't even know the name of your kids, but these are the same guys you've known since kindergarten, live 4 or 5 houses up the street, down the street, or whatever like that. That probably means you guys aren't as tight as it used to be. And I used to be that dude to reach out first, like, yo, how y'all doing? Like, how's everything going, or whatever like that. And then I just got to the point where I was like, yo, like, it's not being reciprocated. Like, why put yourself out there? Like, if it's not being like, who's gonna ask you first how you doing? Who's gonna ask you first how your family is doing, or try to set up like, hey, yo, let's go do something. Like if it's not happening, if you find yourself, you're the one that's always trying to initiate these things, you got to ask yourself, like, all right, maybe you need to fall back. And like I said, if the rest of you guys got a good thing going with your friends, um, and you guys are still tight as you once were when you were 5, 6, or whatever, God bless you. I'm glad you got that. Like I said, me and my buddies, it is what it is. We are there for each other for emergency if something were to pop up. Um, but we still just right now, unfortunately, it is what it is. We friends from a distance, you know.
Well, you shouldn't feel alone with that because, like, I don't have any best friends like that no more. My best friends, they've moved on. Our lives change. You know what I'm saying? Our lives change, and sometimes what bring us together, like you said, the thing that brought us together sometimes is just that we were in the same student home. You know what I mean? And now that that's over, we have our own lives outside of that to deal with, and sometimes the friendship it just ends, man. The friendship really doesn't end. It's just the relationship that we had ends in a way. It's a new relationship now. We're growing up. We got other things we do. You know what I'm saying? And the things we used to do as children isn't really as important as the lives that we have now. So I don't. I try not to get. I don't feel a certain way about the way my old friends are because the one thing I do know is that they love me and I love them. That's what we know. We know there's love there. You know what I mean? There may not be honor and all that lovely stuff, but we still know that that love that we had when we was kids ain't going nowhere. You know what I'm saying? So I try to just wish them well and keep it moving. You can't reinvent the wheel, man. You know what I mean? Just like you can't go home no more again. Home is
I think it's more of an evolving or morphing into a different type of relationship.
yeah.
Your priorities are different. Your family's more important than hanging out with your friends, and
and
it just
I definitely understand what you're saying, and what you say makes sense. I've reevaluated all those things myself, and again, I know the type of person I am, and when I would ask myself like, yo, I'm the married one. I'm the one with the most kids. Like, if I can make that effort, I'm the one at the time, holding down multiple jobs, doing the volunteer thing in Philly. Like, if I can juggle all these things and still like reach out to my homies and be like, yo, what's up? When we gonna do whatever? Like, if I could do it, that means like what's stopping you? So it must be something else more than just like, well, the requirement of time or whatever like that. So like I said, that's when you have to reevaluate yourself and say, hey,
Man,
I think it's time to fall back.
You're not number one no more, yo.
Look,
I think male relationships and female relationships are totally different too. I think men's friendships are different totally than two females being friends. I think the whole concept is different just on the male female end too. Because I know there's a lot of men that just don't get as close as most females do. And I mean, stereotypically, the men don't share as much. Like, where girlfriends are like, I got this hangnail and I hate this girl over here and I got this, my hair is all different. Men aren't going to talk to the nth degree about things with their buddies as the females normally do. I think that also makes a difference. And maybe they're jealous of what you have. If you said you're the one with the children and the marriage and do they feel like they don't stack up to, I'm just assuming,
here's the
some
thing.
of them.
Again, I don't know what's in their head, so I won't throw them under the bus, but I do know that there was a change. The same woman I'm married to now, when she first was just me and her were just boyfriend, girlfriend, my buddies were doing stuff, hanging out, and like they wouldn't even ask me anymore. This is the mid-90s. And they're like, I was like, yo, y'all went to the game or when like, why ain't y'all? Oh, well, you doing this now. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I can still, like, I'm not on lockdown. I can still go hanging out. I don't have to, do whatever. So that's when I saw that change back then in the early years of my dating, when all of a sudden, when I was included in everything for years, all of a sudden I was no longer even getting that consideration when it came time to, do whatever. So again, I know we all change, and you're right. Vicky, us guys, we usually don't share too much intimate details because part of it is we have to keep up this appearance of still holding everything down, still having everything positive. So if you're in debt, Joe struggling, you're not gonna tell your best friend like, yo man, I got bills. I can't go out tonight because I got no money, or my car just got repossessed. Like, we ain't putting out that sensitive information because we have to keep that look, the whole keeping up with the Joneses or whatever. Like, it's so funny. It's almost easier to tell that stuff to a stranger, or when I say stranger, people who don't know you as well, because they're less likely to, hold that information against you or make you feel some type of way versus people who've known you all your life.
You also don't want to disappoint your friends. That's a big thing. Like, where you'd share something with it. You're not worried about that stranger or that acquaintance's opinion so much as the weight of the opinion of your peers and your true friends. They matter, and you don't want to disappoint them in any way either. That it's a true thing.
Well, absolutely. I agree. I mean, shucks, forget the disappointing them. You just don't want to be looked as a disappointment to them because they've always thought you had things together. And then all of a sudden, oh, look at him. He ain't doing as well as he promoted himself all these years. So like I said, there could be a little bit of enviness. I'm far from someone that needs to be envied by anybody, trust me. But it's one of those things where you don't know what's in that person's mind. Like, they could have foreseen themselves being at a higher place than what they are right now, in late 40s or whatever, and then all of a sudden they look at you and they perceive, without knowing what's going on inside your house, they may perceive you as being at a place that they're not. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I can tell you, like, when our friends used to get married or anything outside of what we were doing, we left them alone because a lot of times that can interrupt the marriage. Like, a lot of with our friends, it might not even be that anything about you in particular. It might have been about, for us, it's usually that person's doing this now. We're going to leave him alone and let him do that. Because, having best friends, guys can mess things up. We know we can mess things up. We can mess our boys up. You know what I'm saying? So if your life changes to the point to where you're in a married situation and we're not, but we still doing our little dirty dirt, we can't have you around. You know what I'm saying?
I hear, but it's like, it's a big difference between going to, what was that place called back in the day? Piccadilly's, whatever. Like, if we're not talking about going to a strip club where the new married guy, all right, we're not going to get him involved in that. We just talked about going to a football game or basketball game or just hanging out in general. So I get what you're saying, not to get that person into any dirt or like, yo, we're going to roll by and rob these dudes or something like that. But we just talk about just safe hanging out, that, we're not talking about getting liquored up or nothing like that. We're just basically just hanging out, and we just going to exclude that dude for basically forever.
Yeah, I don't know if it was an exclusive thing, but you never know unless you ask, right? You can't just assume. But for me, whenever my friends had some heavy relationship thing going on, we back down, yo. We let you have that because this is well for us. I can't speak for you, but for us, growing up with our fathers and all that kind of stuff, when we see somebody who has a woman and she's good to him and he's happy, we'll be like, you can't be over here. Your life changed, yo. Your life changed. You ain't gonna be with us doing this. We only want you around us. Because we don't want you to lose what you have. It's more important than us. Sometimes that's what friends do, you know what I'm saying? When your life changed. So, with that, I'm going to move on. I'm going to move on because it's not about Rob.
Well, I did want to say something, though. I know times have
Unfortunately,
changed,
that's why I'm
but
going to move on to somebody else, yo. We're going, you know what? We're going to chill out and get off of Rob, and let this be about the other people in the room. You know what I mean? I love you, Rob. Thanks for coming. Love you too, Vicky. Thank you. But I'm going to let Andre Cole speak because he has been sitting here waiting for a bit. And I'm muting you, Andre. Go ahead, man. Speak on your best friends, bro. Can't hear you, man. Can't hear you.
All right, can you hear me now?
Yeah, go ahead, man. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. I don't know about best friends. I mean, I had some friends that we was close and best friends, but over time, I never had one long. So either went to a different school or, just moved on. Like in Hershey, let me see, like, yeah, Adam was close. Had some other close friends and stuff like that. You know what I mean? We did stuff together. Eric Crump, some other muds, you know what I mean? And we had some close relationships, like my homegirl Vicky and some other ones. So, but after graduation, everybody went pretty much their separate ways because life happened. You know what I mean? So, but I can't say that I have best friend I've done everything with. Like me, Troy, and Curtis, we was all close for a while. You know what I mean? But then, after I got my job at the gas company, you know what I mean? When they would call me, I couldn't go a lot of times because I had to work. You know what I mean? Then after a while, they just stopped calling me altogether. You know what I mean? So I think what happens was, when you talk like a best friend from young to after you graduate to later years, it's kind of hard to keep the same ones because of work. They must start having children. You know what I mean? The families. And like you said, like me and our boys got with some girl, we ain't trying to have them come to the club with us because, you know what I mean? If you ain't going to bring her, you know what I mean? Or she ain't gonna bring him, then we're gonna hear the drama the next day, y'all fighting and arguing. So I'm like, nah, bro, you bring your significant other. Nah, I was like, but then you can't come, man, because I ain't gonna try to hear like I'm the bad guy. You know what I mean? So we out there partying. So, I never had that, but I know, we lost track of each other for a while, but but as soon as we would see each other and and unite, it was like nothing changed. You know what I mean? So I think that's the best thing to say. You know what I mean? Because I remember when I went to Iraq, me and Vicky got back together and she asked me like, what did I need when I was in Iraq? And Elise and even Tracy Dane, you know what I mean? So, you like, they might ride it out, even though we can't hang out because we live in different states, different cities, you know what I mean, all the time. But we talk, you know what I mean? And for me, my friends are what's more important to me than anything when it comes to friendship is if I need you, you're there for me. That's it. That's all I care about. If I call you like, yo, you drop everything, you talk to me. If I, you know what I mean? So that's how I am with everybody. So it no matter how far you're at, I know Gina, you my homegirl Gina. She's called me in the middle of the day, you know what I mean? Middle of the night, you know what I mean? The electricity come out, all right, yo, I'm on my way to help you fix your shit. You know what I mean? And she's like an hour and a half away, 2 hours. So to me, that's like when people need you and they may not have the money to do stuff, but they know you know how to do it. You come and run it. You don't expect nothing in return. You know what I mean? That's what friendship to me is. And I had stuff to get done in my house. Dawn, her daughter came, helped me paint. My ex-wife's daughter, you know what I mean? Some other milks came. You know what I mean? So that's more important to me than anything else when it comes to best friends or friendship. You know what I mean? So I never really truly had a best friend that was always there because, no family or they live in different states and stuff like that. But I have friends that I love like brothers and sisters that's always been like for me. And that's all that matters to me. So, and that's surprising. So that was the most important thing. Because then, at the end of the day, that's what you need. So when it comes to that. But I never got mad when they left me. Because usually it's because of a different job, different state. You lose contact. That's just life. You lose contact with each other. But when finally come back together, it's like nothing's changed where your real friends are at. You know what I mean? And there's been friends along the way that are only going to be there for you for just a little time in your life. You know what I mean? They're just supposed to be there for a little bit. Then you just never hear from them again. Some of them that was real close to, I ain't seen in like 20 years. But like when we saw each other, we couldn't stop smiling, hugging, all that stuff. You know what I mean? But that's where you can tell where I say you got true best friends and good friends and stuff like that. So I can't think of a best friend, but I have great friends that I love and who love me. That's all that matters. That's
Bill
all.
Klein. Bill Klein was one of your best friends, boy.
Yeah, Bill Klein, Bill McCall.
Yeah.
You know, my boy Jason, like Jason Eric Simmons, like that's my best boy right now. He here in Philly. We all hang, us three bub, and that's we
That's
all.
really our best boy now from the milk, Jason. Jason
Yeah.
is we hang with all the time. He's the one.
He's the one that we hang with all the time. You know what I mean? So that's our little trio right there. You know what I mean? That's still from the milk. You know what I mean? Because, we're all here in Philly, so we always get together. So
Yeah.
I can say for that. And if I ever needed something, he was always there. Like I was getting divorced, like when me and the wife was having problems. He told me to leave, get out the house, which was her house. Okay, called Jason up, boom, boom, boom. It was like late at night. He's like, all right, I'm on my way. And then I was out. You know what I mean? Packed myself, I got out. Like that's how we were. You know what I mean? So we called each other. We just come and running. So yeah, so for us three, that's who we count on with each other. You know what I mean? It comes with friends. So yeah, but anything else? But if people just need someone to talk to, we just be on the phone. You know what I mean? People start new businesses. What you got going on, my friends, best friend? I'll get something from you. You know what I mean? I don't care what you're doing. I'll buy it. You know what I mean? Let's be supportive, and that's what to me that's everything and what best friends and friends should be, who really truly love each other from the heart, without expecting anything in return. That's how I look at it.
That's what's up. That's a good description of a best friend scenario. I remember I used to watch you with Bill Klein. I'd be like, Bill, get on my fucking nerves, yo.
At the milk, we was at school.
He used to always give you the desserts. He used to get all the desserts for some reason. Like this little scrawny dude, like this big, yo. I'm the fattest dude at the table watching him getting all the desserts. I was bad as hell. I was like, what little scrawny ass? He ain't eating none of them. He just wanted it.
He didn't like him. I liked him. He gave him to me. I was happy with it. You know what I mean? That's my little guy.
So mad about that. He'd take my desserts and give them to Andre. I'd be mad. That's mine, nigga.
That's my little guy. I was bringing him up. You know what I mean?
It's all good. It's all good. Hey, Lil, you want to put yourself on camera? You gonna unmute yourself? I don't ask you and hit you up and.
I don't know if she knows how to do it. I've been texting too.
Oh, there you go. There you go. You're not shy. Now you're not shy.
Yeah, I'm looking all rough.
How you doing, Lou?
I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah.
So you're talking about best friends, huh?
Best friends, yeah. What's up? Who are your best friends? Do you have best friends? Don't mean that they best friends for life. Just best friends for the moment, or best friends for a long period of time. Well, you got to consider yourself a friend. So go ahead.
My best friend for life. Our moms were friends, and we met as babies. And we don't talk every day, but we grew up together. She was the only one that saw in my home how things were. So she saw the depths of stuff. And like I said, we don't talk every day in that, but it was that person that, shows up like my dad's funeral and stuff. When I come in town, she's like, oh, hell no, you aren't facing your family alone. And they show up for you there and make sure that you're not going through shit alone. And, holding my brother's hand when I couldn't be there and he was dying. So yeah, she's my best friend of 53 years. We're in touch through Facebook and stuff, whatever, but we don't talk every day, like I said, but come hell or high water, when it comes to the deep stuff, she's been there.
When was the last time you saw her?
When my brother was dying 5 years ago. She came down to the hospice and stood there with me every day.
Okay.
Yep.
That's the best friend,
Yeah, that was amazing. And the thing is too, it's somebody who does that stuff that, you don't expect it. You don't ask for that. And they're there. They know Like they know what it means to you, and they got nothing invested in it. Even though she grew up with us, and yeah, she knew my brother and everything, and she knew my family and that. But I think that's the biggest thing, because like it's the only like major constant that she has actually always been, like I've known her always, forever. And then I have another best friend that I've met when I was 10, who has been there through everything. We called each other when we had our babies, and you know, visit each other whenever we can. And we don't talk every day, but every now and then we'll have a Zoom meeting or a conversation. And when we do, we're right back to where we were, you know. When we visit face to face, her husband's like, "How late were you guys up?" We're like 4 a.m. Like, of course, we had to catch up.
Okay.
But I'm really blessed that way, because even though I went away to Milton Hershey, those two people stayed in my life.
You know what? We had a friend like what was his name? A friend that we really liked before we left, right? Before we left. A little white kid that used to be on that we, because we had moved, my family had moved. Of course, my mom moves into a white neighborhood like
Oh, wow. There's racism and everything there between the black stuff.
he moves in one of the most racist neighborhoods you can find, you know what I'm saying? Yay, thanks, Mom. You know what I mean? So before we left, we had befriended this one dude, and I forget his name. I know his name.
Mike? Something like that.
I'm thinking Chrissy, but Chrissy's not as down.
Chris might be it too. I can't remember, but he was our dude.
I don't know, but he was our dude, man. We used to ride bikes and everything together before we left, and
skateboards. When we did the
skateboards, that was our boy. You know what I mean? We came out the house, he came out the house. We was together. You know what I mean? And I remember after we had left, and we were gone for quite a bit before we saw him again. We had came out and we saw him. We was like, "Yo, what's up, boy?" And he just ignored us, yo. He had like he didn't see us. He wouldn't pay us any attention. And I was like, "Damn, yo, it's like that, yo. Have we been going that long? But we probably have been going that long. But
man, it's gone over a year, but a year or two.
Yeah, we missed him. You know, we loved that kid. You know, and it was weird watching him just not even want to be. Not when you want to see us, you know what I mean? But because it probably broke his heart while we were all of a sudden all gone. You know what I mean? Kids don't understand.
Well, we did talk to him here at one time, but we told him we were leaving again. Remember? Because we weren't gonna be there that long. It was just summer vacation.
Yeah, but he just
I don't think it's, you know, a lot of people didn't understand. Like a lot of people, to them, I just disappeared. I just went on Christmas vacation and never came back.
Yeah.
And Schling and Becky, the two that I told you about, and my friend Tom are pretty much the only people that recognized me anymore when I came back, because it changed, you know? Life changed, I changed and everything. I looked different, and a lot of people didn't even recognize me.
I'm sure you spoke different too. You spoke different. You had different characteristics. Milton, you know, we had Milton Hershey characteristics, man.
Yeah, I felt I come back to this little kind of not really a hick town, but kind of a hick town. Y'all were in Philly. The school I went to was in Owatonna, which was today is 10,000 people. I don't know how many people were there then. Maybe 5, I don't know. And I lived out in the country. I was a country girl, so I wasn't like doing stuff and hanging with the city kids. You know, I was out on the farm doing the chores and stuff like that. And Schling lived like a mile from me, so we'd be biking to each other's houses and stuff like that. I'd be like, "Hey, my parents left," and she'd hop on her bike and run over so we could play together. You know, but yeah, the city kids, like that was a big thing. I couldn't go into town 10 miles and hang out. You know, we're kind of isolated.
I'm sure it was. I felt that way like whenever we went back home. We were very isolated whenever we went back home. It was nobody there but us two. You know what I mean?
Family and friends. So it's true.
Yeah,
Our cousins ain't talking. We didn't know them.
Nobody. It was just us. We didn't even shoot. My mom would go to work and we just pretty much stay in the house. And then when she came back from work, she took us to church. So basically our vacation was church.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
we did go out, and we did go out sometimes and meet up with some Hershey friends. So we did.
But most times, as the years go out, we went out less. You know what I mean? But hey, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Your friendships change, your life change, people change. It's good to be older and understand this stuff rather than be young when it's going on and you're just totally confused and heartbroken. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, you live long enough. You get to understand things.
So for you guys coming from Philly, Hershey was kind of like the sticks for you.
Kinda.
See, I came through that town and my dad's like, look at those farms. I'm like, that's not a farm, that's a barn, Dad. Like we had a small 75-acre farm. And I'm like, that's just a barn. And it looks kind of weird because the barns out here look totally different. Like you got that, and for me, it was an experience because all of a sudden here I'm doing barn chores and that. I'm like, I didn't care because, I get dirty, I wash up, no big deal. And I'd be watching people from New York and Philly and all that, like, I could touch that cow. I'm like, yeah, you are.
The first time I got cow shit on my hand, and I could tell that it was cow shit. It was tragic, yo.
Yes, it was.
Oh my God.
I'm picking the shit up and throwing it at people, yo.
We had a water fight with the dirty manure water one time in the barn. Even the herdsman was like, "What the hell are you?"
Kids, once we decide to go at it, we going at it. I'm gonna unmute Vicky because Vicky has been sitting here very patiently after I totally interrupted her question. You know what I'm saying? And thank you for not being mad at me, Vicky. I didn't see anything in the chat room. You ain't cursed me out, so we're all good. Say what's up to Eric real quick. How you doing, bro? But I'm gonna let you go ahead, man. Hey, Vic. We already. I don't even think I really have to ask a question. You know what I'm saying? But
we already know your best friend.
Rob is here, and Rob don't know us.
Oh, okay.
Who's your best friend?
Believe it or not, okay. So growing up, we moved around a lot, and whether it be financially or whatever the case may be, we moved around a lot. And then I lived in Center City for a while, so I never had a lot of friends before I even went to the Melt. I did meet one. Carmela, Andre, Carmela, before I went into the Melt, and then I went to the Melt. In the end of my 8th grade, beginning of my 9th grade, I met Gina, and now we've been best friends for 35 years now. Yeah, it's been through thick and thin, and there's times we don't talk now that there's cell phones, there was times we wouldn't talk for a couple of weeks. And it's no big deal because you just pick up. But now, we text each other or send stupid TikToks or memes or whatever to each other all the time. But we've been more like sisters than anything. I helped her with her burying her grandmother and her aunt, and she helped with me burying my mom. And, I got to call her when my sister died and all that stuff. I did have a couple of other good friends. I've been very blessed with some really decent friends, even pre-Melt, or right after Melt. My friend Linda, but fortunately she died from an enlarged heart in her sleep at the age of 34. And then I have a friend Cheryl that I had met right before I went to Milton Hershey. Also, we roller skating. I don't know if you guys remember USA Skating Rink on the Boulevard. Carol and I
Good
met
time.
there, and she lived up in Fairmount. So when I left the mill and I finished my senior year at Southern, we had moved up to Fairmount, and I got in touch with her again, and her and I became really good friends because I mean I'm at Philly now, you know. I need friends in Philly where I'm at. But obviously Gina's always been there. Gina's been thick and thin. I moved when I had issues and had to move out of Philly. She was there for me. She came and picked me up and all my stuff with a moving truck. So she right as right before lockdown, what's that, 2020, in February, right before they locked everything down, she actually surprised me and drove all the way down here and stayed with me for a week. She told Frank about it. She didn't tell me, and she just showed up my door. Now, and then, I mean, that's my best friend in the whole wide world. Like I said, it's like a sister right there. But as far as friends, I mean, Bubba and Andre, how long have we been friends? Always, you know. Bubba and I don't talk as much as Andre and I do, but you know, it's always there. Every once in a while, you're like, you know what? Let me hit him up and say, how you doing? You know, it's something like that. There's always Andre every once in a while, every few months we pick up the phone, we're on the phone for like an hour. You know, just bullshit. And I have a good bit of people that I do that with, Milt and non-Milt, believe it or not. But Gina's my ride or die right there.
I know she is.
Yeah, we know she. We know.
I got a question though. How did you meet? Like, how did you become best friends? What was it that made you all of a sudden like? That's my.
Okay, I'm not going to put all the dirty laundry out there.
Yeah.
And
Come on,
name names.
give.
But when we were freshmen, the people that we were coupled with, that we were roommated with, they were two seniors, and I didn't really like mine too much. I'm pretty sure she didn't like me. Gina's treated her like shit and put her through a living hell, and she was not very nice to her. And we talked to Mr. Murray, and we became roommates, and those two became roommates, and then that's all they wrote. That's all she wrote.
That's what's up. Okay.
Yeah.
Sometimes a foul situation can bring people together forever, yo.
Right? Yeah, because I mean, we became friends like our freshman year. You know, your freshmen usually huddle together in the corner as freshmen. You know how that is when you're first moving up. So, you know, we just clicked, and that was it.
That was up. I want to stay friends with mine, but you know, guys betray a little too easy, yo. We do our own thing, we move on, and plus, you know, I'm an introvert. You know, it's kind of hard for me to keep friends. I love my friends, but you know.
Well, here's the thing. I consider you and I pretty good friends. I don't need to know your every detail of your whole entire life, but you know that if you were to say, Vic, look, I just need the bullshit for a minute, bring it on. You know, we'll talk, or just say hi, just say how you doing. I mean, how many times did you two need that extra stay night on Thursday night, and you come over at me and Gina's house and stayed? We go out to breakfast. How fun is breakfast, right?
That's crazy.
You know? So I mean, and that's, you don't always have to be best of friends, but to have those good tried and true friends that you know are gonna have your back. You guys need a place to stay. Come on over, stay on the couch. Just watch the dog, Eric.
Yeah, right.
That dog loves me.
Gina and I, how many times did Gina and I go down to the house? You know, it's what you do for your friends. And I think that there's a difference between being an acquaintance and being a friend.
Yeah.
If you needed to be picked up at the airport, yeah, it's like an hour and a half away, but for any reason I'm in the car. You know, if you're coming down here to fly, I'm in the car. If you need it, I can do it. I'll do it.
Hear that, Andre? I'm calling Vicky next time.
Yeah, listen to her.
I mean, she just put an assignment on you. You talking too much.
But there are those different levels of friendship, especially as an adult. I think you sort of file those, maybe not consciously, but you know, you have this little group of friends over here that if something happens, that's your go-to. That's mine. And then there's the other ones that you might want to send a Christmas card to. And then there's the other ones that if you see them, you might wave or not. You know, there's always
That's me. I'm the waiver.
You know, you give me a big bear hug when you see me. Shut up.
Mm.
Are you done, Vic? You done talking about your best friend?
I'm done. I don't be jealous. Don't be. I see you hate.
I don't think anyone here is jealous. We just glad that y'all have what y'all have. And now I'm gonna move on to this other guy, Eric, over here. Yo, I just want to say before I get to Eric, yo, what's up, Dundale? How you doing, brother? How's everything? You good?
What's up?
Hey, what's up?
Yeah, everything good. I had to leave work early because I couldn't finish it. My body was giving up, so I had to stop. And my coworker had to come and grab
Yes,
it.
yes, absolutely.
I was exhausted from yesterday, and I tried today, so I couldn't do it today.
All right. Well, I'm gonna get back to you, my brother. I'm gonna go to Eric talk, and I'm gonna get back to you. All right.
All right.
All right, Eric. What's up, man? Jay, what's up, boy?
Hey, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on?
We talking about best friends up in this joint.
Yeah. It's crazy because I was literally just asked that question a couple of days ago, and it was funny because somebody asked me if Andre was my best friend, and I kind of had to like giggle my ass off, and I was like, nah, like that's my brother. You know what I mean? And I guess the question like, what was the difference? You know, and like at the time, I really couldn't answer it. You know what I mean? Because I was like, you know, that's one cat I know that I could call whenever, and he's right there. You know what I mean? And he was like, well, isn't a friend the same thing? I was like, no. I was like, family, you know, family do things different than friends do. You know, but for me, like pre-mill, I had a really close friend, and then of course when I went away and came back, he kind of thought that I was bougie. So he don't speak to me anymore, you know, since I came back. And then after I graduated the mill, or after I came out the mill, I was hanging out with this guy, and he ended up being like really, really weird. And him and I thought we were best friends for a while until I found out that he was just extra weird and he was just doing too much. So it kind of made me like not really value friendship or question friendship. And then again, it kind of brought me back to my brotherhood. You know what I mean? That's why I figured my brothers are different than my friends. Because friends, you know, they come and go, but shoot, my brother's gonna be here for life. So
That is true. Because you've been here all these years, bro. You've been in the trio for a very long time. This is the Milk Trio, me, Andre, and Jay, yo.
And I ain't going nowhere, kid. I ain't going nowhere, bro.
It's all good. It's all good. But did you have anybody at school, like, or when you were young, that you considered like a good best friend or someone that you hung out all the time?
It's funny, man, because when I was at the mill, I don't know if you guys, because y'all were a little bit ahead of me. I knew everybody, but didn't hang with any one person. You know, it was really weird. 'Cause I did so much. I was on soccer, you know, I was track. I just did so much. But like I was saying, like I knew everybody knew who I was, but I just didn't hang with anybody. Like it's when we walked back from the student home, man, it was like, you know, I would walk in groups, but it would be groups. It wasn't no specific person. I think when Pete Sheffel and we were real close. And then when he got out, man, I just decided that I'm not gonna get close to nobody anymore.
Yeah.
So, you know, so we were, like I said, you know, I had my people I was cool with, and we were okay. We was cool, but I wouldn't say they were my best friends or and the other thing that I learned in the mill, man, you know, when people know something about you, they kind of use it against you. So I wouldn't tell people shit. Like I wouldn't talk to people.
Yes, I experienced
like
that.
I said. So I was like, all right, we cool, but nah, man, you're not my best friend. I can't consider that. So, but yeah, man, it's a good question. So yeah, I don't have any best friends. I got brothers, you know. So to me, it's a difference.
You know what? There is a difference. It's a loyalty difference. Yeah, because you're family. You know, it doesn't matter what's going on. We ain't going to break off. Yeah,
right.
I know what you're saying. And you know what? At the mill, it was pretty. You know, when people come and go so often, you start to develop a type of defensive mechanism. And I can admit that when I was at the mill and people would leave, I had to be ready all the time because you never knew when someone was leaving. It could be because they did something, got kicked out, their mom, pop, whatever, decided to get them. You know what I'm saying? They run away. You never knew what was going to happen, like to your next, no matter how long they were there. You know what I mean? So I get it. I get it. I get that completely. You know, you got to protect yourself. And as kids, all we had was ourselves. You know what I mean? So yeah. That you know what? I'm glad you brought that up. I haven't thought about that in a long time, but that's definitely a real thing that we all had to deal with. But since you're done with the best friend thing, my brother, I want to move on to Lindell because Lindell look like he driving in the dark. You know what I'm saying? How you doing, man?
I'm good. I'm waiting on Nikki to finish her babysitting job. So I just got here. So that's when I just hopped on. So before you call off around 8 o'clock, I want to at least get on to show my love and talk for a little bit.
Oh, I appreciate that, my brother. I appreciate that. The youngest one in the room. You know what I'm saying? Yo, tell me, Tone, did you ever have any best friends coming up that you want to talk about?
I had one best friend, but we grew apart due to, we didn't go to the same school. His name was Nicholas. He was the shortest guy. You know how you got the shortest person, then they grow up inside high school, they have a growth spurt. So that was him. But once my mind kept bouncing around from house to house, we pretty much, lost that. But only one best friend that I have currently, who I consider my brother, his name is Steve. He's a year older than me. I met him when I was at Black in the 10th grade in 2006, 15 years ago, I would say.
How did the friendship start?
Oh, it started when we was walking around during lunchtime. Like we was about to be inside the lunchroom listening to 100 conversations about who sat with who were they about to fire, all this dumb shit. You know how teenagers do. But we walk around inside the lunchroom day in and day out, just walking during inside the hallways. Sometimes we might get caught, sometimes we don't. But when we do get caught, we pretty much inside the 108, which is the detention center, until after lunch. Then they send it off to our class because they know that we always inside class. So one day we started hanging out, and because we live close to one another, that's when I was living on Marco Street, and he was living in West Philly, so it wasn't that far apart. It was like a 20-minute walk, sometimes 15. So we was like, all right, since we live that close, we started to hang out, and we've been hanging out since. We walked all around downtown. We walked up Broad Street, back to Center City, inside the gallery. Back to the park on Clark Park on 43rd and Chester and Walnut in Baltimore. We walked back to his crib and we've been chilling just ever since. He's one of the true friends. Like I said, if I need something done, he'll be right there with me. It was one point where we stopped being friends because he did some nut shit. He was on that bullshit, and I was about to leave him.
Friends, man. Because
but he did some shit where like, yo, you do that to me? The only nigga that ain't never did shit to you, you gonna do that shit to me? So at that point, he already knew how I had felt about when he came back around and just apologized. But at the same time, it's like he did apologize. He was man enough to come around and apologize to me. And for the strength of how long have I known him, I'm gonna trust him again, because even though he betrayed my trust the first time, I'm not going to forget that. But I'm gonna trust you again, just for the strength of our friendship, and the simple fact you was man enough to apologize. So I was like, I trust him again, and ever since that day, we just been chilling, whenever if he need anything, he already know that he could call me. Hell, I saved his life one time. Because since he having heart problems, he's not supposed to work. We didn't know he had heart problems, including him. He called me back in 2018 when I was living inside that trap house, when I was being homeless, all that drama shit that was happening to me. He told me that his heart was hurting, and he was on 50th and Woodland. I was talking to him. I look, if it don't get better by the time I get home, because I was walking home from the masjid, I'm walking all the way over to 50th and Woodland. So when I got home, he's like, yeah, my heart ain't got better. I'm like, all right, call 911. No, I'm not gonna call 911. All right, when I get there, because I'm gonna walk, and you ain't even called the cops, I'm calling the cops so once I get there, all right? He's like, all right, whatever. I was like, I'm serious. So I walked from between 21st and 27th and Big King all the way to 50th and Walker. He was laying on the bench that was right there where the G stop is at, and his heart was hurting. So I called the ambulance. Five people came. Then the ambulance came. The ambulance told him, like, "You're a dumbass. Like, if it wasn't for your brother right here, you've been dead, my man." I was like, "Yeah, I know, fucking dumbass."
So your brother, so y'all still good though, right? Y'all still good now. Yo,
Yeah.
how often do you see him? Do you see him much?
Not as much because he back down south. He left Philadelphia, so he went back to North Carolina. He was in South Carolina, but came back to Philly. So now he's back in North Carolina. He's not trying to stay in Philly due to all the bullshit, the drama, all the shooting carry on. So it's like, yeah.
All right. Well, best friends are hard to find, man. Once you get them, you try to keep them. Hold on. Is that the boy you was playing video games on one time when we was trying to have a beating and you wasn't paying no attention? Talk about you can do too much.
That was me. I was playing the game all by myself. No, he wasn't on there.
There was one time, so you said, "That's my boy. He's on here. I'm talking to him." Well, anyway, it's always good to have you on, my brother. It's always good to have you on. I know you probably don't remember, but I do.
Yeah.
Look, we're at the hour, right? We're at the hour. I don't really have much more to speak on it because, I already said what I had to say. Does anyone else have anything they want to speak on as best friends? Anyone got any questions? Need some answers? Want to ask somebody something? Now's the time. No, everybody tired like me? I want to go to sleep, yo. I want to be left alone, yo. So
I ran out of coffee. I need more coffee.
Look, it's 8:01. We're at the hour anyway. Listen, I'm glad everybody showed up. It was great to see you all. Thank you, Lou, Vicky, Rob, Lindell, Eric, Andre. Thank you, everybody, for coming by, having a nice little conversation for an hour. And, well, I'm ready to go. Listen, the next one we're going to do on Wednesday is religion. If you want to talk on religion, your experiences with religion or your current religion, it's cool with me because that's what we're talking about on Wednesday. I know it's crazy for some people, but you know what? Tell your story. That's what we're here for. We love you. Listen, this is over. I'm going to wave you out and say goodbye to everybody. Love y'all. It's good to see y'all.
Good night.
All right. Y'all have a good night now.
Later.